Cebu Catholic Television Network joins the global cooperative movement in celebrating the decade of cooperatives. In the run-up to this glorious milestone, CCTN Channel 47 proudly presents Coop TV.
Hi and hello from Cebu City in Central Philippines, and welcome to Coop TV. Coop TV is being brought to you by CCTN Channel 47. We are in solidarity with the global cooperative movement as we await the glorious milestone that is the 2020 International Decade of Cooperatives. One of the pillars of the 2020 vision is to ensure the co-op identity. And here in Coop TV, we keep co-ops in the conversation to build the cooperative message and secure the cooperative identity. And as usual here on Coop TV, I am joined by Romil Banzuelo. He chairs the Land Bank Employees Credit Cooperative. Hello there, partner.
Hello, partner. What a way to celebrate our 5-year anniversary on Coop TV, because our guest today is really wonderful people.
This is going to be epic, partner.
That's right.
We are being visited here by stalwarts of the United Kingdom Credit Unions. Our guest is the founder and co-trustee of the International Credit Union Leadership Development and Education Foundation. Welcome to Cebu City and welcome to Coop TV, Mr. Barry Epstein.
Thank you. And we're proud and privileged to be here as guests of the network today and being looked after by the Philippines Cooperative Credit Union Movement. And all we can say is Mabuhay Philippines.
Thank you very much. As Barry said, we're so honoured to be here and having a wonderful time in the Philippines and in Cebu, which is a beautiful city.
I never in a million years thought that we will be having this great couple here on our show, partner. They spent like a week in Manila to attend the Q Forum. Tell us about it first, Byron.
It was very exciting, and that's a phrase which is used so often and doesn't mean much, but coming to the Q Forum was like coming home to family. The number of people that knew us and wouldn't allow us to do anything for ourselves throughout the whole of the time of the forum. But the interesting thing was that the leaders of the forum, Elenita V. San Roque, who is the Chief Executive Officer, it was so natural that we were there as guests, but we were also asked to work.
So basically, what was the program like?
The program was exhilarating. We won't know how exhilarating it is to us until we get back to London and we can catch up on our sleep. But we started work at 8 o'clock in the morning. We went through to 5 or 5:30 in the evening, and then even the social events were in a very nice convivial atmosphere, the continuation of the work.
We started off in the pre-forum workshops in the youth and women's with the aim of developing business programs to assist the youth and women to the empowerment of youth and women in the credit union movement.
I was the oldest person in the workshop, and coincidentally, the Almighty must have ordained this, I sat next to the youngest millennial in the workshop, a young lady from the Philippines, and I was able to impart to her a bit of wisdom in conversation, and she was able to impart to me what technology was.
Do you remember
Yeah,
the name,
the
Barry?
millennials.
Rona.
Rona. Oh, I think I know her.
She's on the
She was
youth
a-
board.
Yes,
A
she's on the
participant?
youth board.
Yeah, in the Youth Cooperative Summit,
Yes, she would
sponsored by
have
the
been.
ICA
Yes.
Asia Pacific. In any
Yes.
case, what was your takeaway from the ACU Forum?
Energy, inspiration, new thoughts, new ideas. But the most essential thing for us, we come to Asia and mentor, we're asked to mentor on ACDE every year. And the course directors think that we're giving them something. It's the other way round. We come to Asia to get energy and inspiration because we face so much exasperation in the UK. You boys and girls don't recognise how good you are, and you need foreigners to tell you how good you are. And this is not just lip service. You talk the talk and you walk the walk. And this is very different to what is happening in Europe. As a for instance, the credit union cooperatives in Asia, most of them are multi-purpose. This is virtually unknown in the UK. There's a bit of it in Ireland, there is a bit of it in the USA, and I have no doubt there are bits of it in other parts of the cooperative credit union world, but nothing like Asia. To give you an example, already credit unions in the Philippines are fulfilling the Sustainable Global Development Goals. You didn't need the United Nations to tell you, you're actually doing it. You're doing it because it's for the common good, and you're doing it because it's common sense. You didn't need politicians in New York to tell you what to do. And there's a problem with those politicians. It took them 2 years to come up with the goals.
The 7th and sustainable.
Yes, 2 years.
Development
And do you know
goals.
the reason why, Roman?
Why?
Because most of the UN are men. Now, the representative from the UK is a woman, but most of them are men. If it was left to the women and there was equal representation in the General Assembly, it would have taken maybe 1 year. If
That is music to the ears of Mercedes Castillo, former board administrator of the CDA, who is a staunch supporter of gender equality. But about your insights on, learning from us, from Philippine co-ops being renewed and invigorated, it's time you visit the Philippines. Barry, it's not the first time I heard it. I heard it from Nancy Johns, a recent visitor to the Philippines, who said that, because I told her, this is surprising because somehow we look up to you because of your wealth and your size.
And because they started the cooperative
And because
movement.
they are very, they have such efficient banking
Yes.
services. But now you're saying that we're doing the right thing. But you know what she said? We don't have all the answers.
nobody else. But in Asia, in the Philippines, you try to come up with the answers. Every day in credit unions in the Philippines, you are trying to repair the world a step at a time. A step at a time. It's not just providing financial services. It's about empowering people socially and economically. And interestingly enough, Nancy Johns happens to be my mentor.
Oh,
Every mentor needs a mentor. You need a wall to talk to or email to, and Nancy Johns is our wall. Isn't it a small world?
very small. Anyway, we are going into the favorite topic of yours, the development education. And so we'll pause for a break. Stay with us. We'll be back.
CFI Cooperative, andam nga mutabang sa tanan. Natukod kani atong 1970, tumong niya para makatigum ka. Daghan ang katawan nga natabangan sa Cebu CFI Cooperative. Masalbar ang problema sa pagpaeskwela, tungod ang CFI na ang bahala. Apil pagpabalay o pagpalit og sakyanan, Cebu CFI may katumanan. Salbar kita, salbar kita, salbar kita, salbar kita, sa Cebu CFI Cooperative. Salbar kita, salbar kita, salbar kita, salbar kita, sa Cebu CFI Cooperative.
International Credit Union Leadership Development and Education Foundation works closely with the Development Education course in the European Union, in the Caribbean, in the Philippines, and in the US. Tell us about the background of the DE in UK.
DE in the UK was a strange situation. I was the treasurer of one of the leagues in the UK. We have now about 7 bodies in the UK that say they represent parts of the credit union movement. And one of my co-directors, a remarkable man called Alex Spence, who like myself is an ICUDE, rang me one Sunday night and said, I want to start a foundation to set up DE in the UK. And I said to him, what is DE? And he explained to me in 3 or 4 sentences what DE is. And I'm known to be particularly argumentative. And I remained silent.
It sounds foreign to
And
you.
then he said, are you going to criticise the idea? And
Or
I
are you
said to
still there on the other line?
the idea of DE. And I said to him, that is the most brilliant thing I've ever heard since I've been in the credit union movement. And he said, why? I said, why? When you look around at the leaders of the DE movement, the credit union movement in the UK, what do you see? Do you see blinding commitment? Do you see natural leadership? Do you see inspiration? Because you don't get all of these things just by being elected to office or appointed to post. Mm-hmm. And he said, well, we're going to have to put it in front of our committee. It cost about £5,000 to set up this foundation. I said, we don't put it to a committee, Alex, we do it. You've got the money, we do it. He said, but people will want to vote on it and discuss it and have position papers and focus groups. I said, no, Alex, we haven't got the time for that. We do it now, and it's your project. I will back you to the hilt. And that's how the original foundation was set up in the UK, to promote DE to the whole of the credit union movement. As the years have gone by, that foundation has now become an internal foundation, only servicing that league. And that is not what cooperation is all about. Cooperation is about all of us. The we, not the me.
The Alex you're talking about was supposed to do this as his own DE project?
Alex was an American DE at the time. He
Yes.
wasn't a UK DE because there wasn't a UK programme. So it could well have been in the back of Alex's mind, this is what needed to be done. Alex is the pioneer corps. He was the strong background man. But the person who actually developed the programme was Marlene Shields, who is now has returned as the director of DEEU. There was an intervening director who, for circumstances known to that particular person, couldn't or wouldn't develop the programme to the height of its potential. Marlene Shields, as the mother of it, could see, and she's an ICUD, could see what needed to be done and has stepped back into the control of it again. And we have told her, because she's a good friend of ours, that the first time around she left an obituary, not a legacy. This time around, because she's a good friend of ours, we said you leave a legacy, and if you don't leave a legacy, we'll kill you.
We may be talking Greek here for some members of the sector, Barry. We're talking about the elite DE course, and that is a very familiar topic for us who took the DE, and for you in the ICU, LD, and EF. But how would you define DE? In so many words, what is DE to you? Because that is what we have been talking about for the past 6 months. We have just finished the Philippine DE number 13 in August 2018, and Dude Samson, the CEO of Victor National, which is anchoring the DE course in the Philippines, is looking at 2 DEs in 2019. So DE. For you, Barry, what is DE?
What DE means to me is developing the person, the inner person, so they can serve others. It's not a question of being a director for a director's sake, or being a manager of a credit union for the sake of being a manager. All DEs everywhere, active DEs, are natural leaders within themselves. They're not in competition with one another. They are working out in their own minds, which is how they devise their projects, how to help the world, how to repair the world, a little by little, each and every day. They are self-programmers, they're self-motivators, they see a need and say, I see this need, how can I fulfill this need? And the leadership comes in by them applying the sheer exuberance that they create waves and they pull other people along with them. They don't do it by command, they do it by attitude and application. And that's the essence of the DE.
I must agree that there are different ways that the different DE courses around the world do this. We have found that the Asian, which is run by the Asian Confederation, they do a lot of work on giving the people who come are already managers, are already board members, or they could just be staff, but it gives them the opportunity to develop the ability to speak publicly and to work out in their minds why they are interested in being a development educator, why they want to graduate as one. So there's a lot of work on presentations, 5 minute, 3 minute, and people have to get up and speak on anything just to get practice in speaking and putting across their ideas. Also, not using technological aids, because they could be, say, in Myanmar with no electricity,
Exactly.
no PowerPoint, so they have to learn to make the
Make do
materials,
with meager
make do
resources.
and get their message across.
And the
effectively.
fruit of the DE is supposedly a project that you are expected to accomplish
And
within a
implement.
time, within a year. But my take, Barry and Marilyn, is this, that the real fruit of the DE is the psychological reboot that enables participants to go back to their social mission, and even to the most cynical co-op professional, even rethink their lives.
Yes.
Yes, it does reshape your life in ways that you don't realise at the time when you're on the course. You think about your project, you think about your mission in life. I have an expression when you say they deliver in a year. I have an expression that a D project can be delivered in 10 minutes, 10 hours, 10 months,
10
or
years.
10
10
years.
years.
And quite often we've come across DEs that we act as mentors for that change course and change the objective during the course of carrying out their projects. We have also come across DEs, very sadly, with very grandiose ideas that fall at the first hurdle and don't pick themselves up and carry on to the end of the course of their project. And that is a bit sad. And what we try to do is using various ways, and we don't have degrees in psychology or psychiatry, but to actually, how shall I put it now, encourage them. And for sometimes with stubborn horses you have to beat them, and with nice horses you give them a lump of sugar. I meant verbally beat them, not actually beat them.
We'll hear more from our visiting couple from the United Kingdom, Barry and Marilyn Epstein, when we come back. Stay with us.
CFI Cooperative, andam nga mutabang sa tanan. Natukod ka niya tumiloy bisinto 70, tumong niya para makatigum ka. Daghan ang katawan nga natabangan sa Cebu CFI Cooperative. Masalbar ang problema sa pagpaeskwela, tungod ang CFI na ang bahala. Apil pagpabalay o pagpalit og sakyanan, Cebu CFI may katumanan. Salbar kita, salbar kita, salbar kita, salbar kita sa Cebu CFI Cooperative. Salbar kita, salbar kita, salbar kita, salbar kita sa Cebu CFI Cooperative.
Nagtanaw ka mo sa Coop TV ang atong mga bisita karong adlaw gikan pagyud intawon sa halayo kayo nga lugar. No, they come from across the world, the globe, from the United Kingdom, and they are here, our visiting couple, to touch base with DEs who made good in recent years, and in fact, 4 of them had been awarded as the Joe Biden awardees for the year 2014, 2015, and 2016, 2017. And the Joe Biden Award for Asia has been created on account of the insistence of one Roberta Melli. Tell us about that moment when she badgered you to include Asia or even the Philippines in the Joe Biden Award.
Once you have met Melli Verano, it's like, without wishing to sound rude, it's mud to a blanket. You know, you have a blanket on the washing line and it falls in the mud, and you put it on the washing line and the mud is stuck to the blanket. Melli, bless her, is a persistent cooperator. She is a persistent DE. She's like a blue bottle. So she was on the DE course in UK. Which year was it, Marion?
2013.
2013.
In Liverpool.
In Liverpool. And she heard about the awards for Great Britain, which then, because of the interest of credit unions everywhere, the Republic of Ireland said, what about us? So we then recreated the domestic awards for Great Britain and Ireland. Then because we were in the European Union, we then decided to include Europe, and credit unions are only developed in a certain number of European countries and not all of them. But there's a very strong movement in Macedonia, and that's very much down to an individual from Macedonia, Eleonora Zogan Petrovic, known as Ellie for short. She's known as Ellie worldwide, and she won the European award. And at breakfast one morning on the course, Melli Verano said, what about us? What about the Philippines? Just like that.
Angry?
Pretend angry. What about the Philippines? What about the Philippines? What about awards for the Philippines? And we went away with the co-trustees and we thought, we're in trouble here. We are in desperate trouble. We are cooperators, we've got to fulfill the need expressed to us by other cooperators, particularly as they're sensible. But we suddenly thought, oh my God, Asia is an enormous continent. So as the DE program spreads to Vietnam and Myanmar and Timor-Leste and Australia and whatever, Vietnam, what on earth are we going to do? Because we won't be able to keep up with it. So we then decided Asia. So then the awards, the Joe Biden Awards, spread to Asia. Then they spread next to Caribbean?
I think the Caribbean or Africa.
Oh, Africa. Yes, because we had sponsored Pell Scholars to go to Africa, we included Africa. Now, Africa is a very big place with lots of countries in, and we thought the same problem. We're going to have Africa. So we had Africa that came in, then naturally by extension to the African diaspora, which was the Caribbean. So we then went to the Caribbean. We then, from mentoring on ACDE, we met a remarkable Australian mentor called Paul Dawson. So then we decided to include Australasia, which covers Australia and New Zealand. Then, because we had sponsored Spell scholars from North America, 2 of them, we said North America. Now, the reason we've got away with all of this is we haven't done it through any rules. We haven't done it through any protocols. To us it was common sense, and because we're outside WACU and all its affiliates, we didn't need to go through processes, we just did it. And there is a reason why we're outside WACU. Surprisingly enough, with those 7 representative bodies in Great Britain and Ireland for credit unions, only 2 of them are recognised by WACU. So if we were friendly, in inverted commas, to WACU, we would offend the other 5. So for diplomatic reasons, we are outside WACU. We love WACU. WACU does what it does. It has its own rules and its own formats. But because they don't cover everything that we want to do, we don't want to be bound by those rules or formats.
So back to Meli Verano's insistence. What happened?
Sorry?
What happened to the, to the remark of Meli Verano?
Shall I say, she became the inaugural Biden winner from Asia in 2015, and we were thrilled to pick up her award. That was amazing.
On the second day of you went to the entry, the winning project of Meli Verano, which is none other than that beautiful, that cute library, which was so well furnished. And Meli Verano is so overwhelmed by, not really by, I think, by the recognition, but more of the affection you showed to the cooperative that Meli works for, the Tecton Entry Multi-Purpose Cooperative. And I am so touched as well that Meli felt like crying by that great show of support for all the work that Meli is doing, not just for her own co-op, but for the collaborators of Tecton Entry, like the ICU, LD, and Education Foundation. Very, very touching.
It's a crucial investment, Lou, because none of us are going to last forever, and we must keep the cooperative candle burning. We must keep the beacon of DE burning, and we must pass it on to the next generation. One of the values of the library and the study centre is, without wishing to sound cruel, it will outlive Meli. It will be Meli's legacy, but not her obituary. And I was proud enough, for the time that she was going through the traumas of the construction process, of being her wall, of being her DE project mentor. And I was receiving emails and photographs from Meli for well over a year saying, well, this has gone wrong and this is not right and there's been a glitch here. And I kept sending her emails back, just carry on, because what is said in DE stays in DE, so I'm not going to disclose the actual correspondence to you. But I said, just carry on, carry on, carry on. And this is the funny thing. When the library was finished, Meli didn't tell me. She didn't tell me about the inauguration. She was sending me pictures all the time of work in progress, but not the final work in progress or the final completion. And she then did a Facebook posting, and I don't do Facebook, but I found out about it. And she said the project is now being completed, and she signed off, "Take that, Barry Epstein."
Your close collaboration with DE's in different countries of the world. How important this is, Barry? And how do you think should this be strengthened to make it relevant, especially in developing countries like the Philippines?
When you say developing countries like the Philippines, we've had off-camera big discussions about this, and I will just summarise what I feel about it. When you say developing, what is developing? Is it in minds or is it in wallets? Which is the more important thing, the mind or the wallet? And the Philippines, as far as cooperative credit union world is concerned, is an advanced, developed country. Asia is an advanced, developed continent. Everywhere where there is cooperative credit union activity in Asia, it is advanced. You will see, and I'm generalising just to make my point, in the supposedly developed world, there is more law and more regulation. So consequently, over a period of time, credit unions generally in those countries have been subject to law and regulation, and that has confined their activities to basic savings and loans products. Now, I know in the UK it is possible by law, and savings and loans is called regulated business. In other words, the Bank of England is in charge of what you do. There's another regulator which is actually in charge of your conduct and the conduct of credit unions. To be able to do non-regulated business, you have to set up something called the Friends of the Credit Union, and you have to gain government permission to use the word credit union in the name of the Friends, which then enables credit unions to engage or encourage non-regulated business. Now, as Marilyn and I talk to people in the UK and we go around the country, credit unions in the UK, we say to them, why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? Why don't you help the local school? Why don't you help the local agricultural community? Yes, you have food banks. Why do we have food banks? Why doesn't the credit union open a cooperative store? So people can buy the basics at basic commodities at very little markup. And do you know what they say? We haven't got the time. I say, well, that's a valid observation, but it's not a solution. And then they move on, we haven't got the people. Well, the answer I give to that is that's a valid observation, but it's not a solution. Because in the supposed developed world, there is so much welfareism, which means government handouts, like force-feeding an animal, that people over the generations, and I'm generalising to make my point, have not wanted to do things for themselves. Whereas in Asia and in the Philippines, you empower people. You help them up. You don't force feed them. You don't make them dependent. You make them independent. So, when you say the developing world, Malou, I disagree with you. You're not, as a cooperator, as a credit unionist, you're not in the developing world, you're in the developed world.
Well, Rumil here will tell you that out of 110 million, that is the population of the Philippines in the current year, what is the penetration of co-ops in the country, partner?
About 15%, about 15 million in the Philippines are members of cooperatives. So that's quite low as compared to UK. What's your penetration in UK?
This is why I told Malou, you are developed, we're developing. The UK, Rochdale Pioneers, Fenwick Weavers, a population of 66 million, we are just approaching 2 million cooperative credit union members. Now, to put that in perspective, Northern Ireland, which is part of the island of Ireland, but it's part of the UK as well, The population is 1 million, and they've got 500,000 of those members in Northern Ireland.
So bigger, more penetration.
More penetration in the island of Ireland
than in UK, in Great Britain.
Yes.
Oh, I see. That's because of the Catholic missionaries and the
Not only
Caribbeans.
Catholic missionaries, Romil,
Yes.
but it was more fundamental than that. The government have constantly skewed the credit union market. Now, to tell you what I mean by skewing it, I've estimated that the UK government has given money and facilities through various agencies to develop credit unions in the communities in the UK. It must be something like £750 million since 1980. Now, I can't quickly do the mental arithmetic to transcribe that into pesos, but it's an awful lot of money. And what they have done, they have developed credit unions to be largely, many of them, dispensers of, in other words, handing out money which is given to the credit unions for people's benefits. So in other words, we've been benefit distributors rather than wealth creators. From the other end of the scale, UK credit unions have not encouraged the have mores to come in. Now, because the have mores have more, are we then saying they're not worthy of receiving the cooperative message? Are we saying that? Are we saying, the UK saying, that it's wrong to say to the have-mores, there is a better lifestyle, ethos, personal conduct through coming into cooperation and moving away from the banks, because everything the credit union should do, they should do better than the banks. They should endeavour to do it better than the banks because they've got emotional service in their souls. And this has not happened.
Brings us to the question, what is the state of the credit unions in your country?
The state of our credit unions in the UK is, unfortunately, you have the margin of very good ones, that are very good savings and loans institutions, who are run by dedicated and committed boards and manager of a phenomenally high standard. Then you have those that are just about getting by, primarily because they don't go into enough transactional revenue generation. You know, the unregulated business. And then there are those that are failing. And the ones that fail, and I try and help them professionally, the ones that are failing, there is a common denominator that causes this. And it's the disconnect between the member, the management, the board of directors, right up the supply chain. Now, quite often you've got the people at the top who are dictatorial, who want to keep their jobs and their roles because it makes them feel grand. You've got the managers that quite often are not as competent as they should be. They are a lot of them are competent, but a lot more are not very competent. And quite often when you get a visitor from overseas, they won't tell you the truth about their own situation. But I tell it how it is. And then you've got it at the bottom, the member, the owner member. We keep saying owner member in the UK. As far as I know, Marion and I are the only two credit union activists in the UK that constantly say owner member. So if you've got £1 million pesos in the credit union, or you've got 500 pesos in the credit union, you rank equally, you're mutually. And we say this continuously, but there is a disconnect. When people come into the credit union, they're not told and constantly told, you own this business. It is yours. One member, one vote, and it's not impressed upon them. So consequently, it starts with a member, it should finish with the owner member, and it doesn't. They're run like looky-likey banks, like banks.
Can I just say one thing? I was very impressed that you have courses for people before they become members to tell them what being a member is all about. That doesn't happen.
Are you saying that in UK you have no pre-membership seminar?
No.
Before they get into the cooperative?
No. Like, I want a loan. Give me your details. Here's a. You save,
No orientation.
Save. No orientation.
We don't have anybody in the media like you two. In the media in the UK, even the financial media, if a bank won't give you a loan, join a credit union. They don't say what a credit union is. It's as if where we are the bank of last resort. And ethically and morally, we're the bank of first resort.
So it's like a second-class citizen
Yes.
in your country, the cooperative.
Yes. What we have tried to do is not be bound up in rules and regulations and sterile meetings. Cooperators have this bad habit of thinking that cooperation is just about sitting together and writing rule books and policies and procedures before they start to do something. So what we have done is we didn't want to get involved in any of that. First of all, there's a practical reason. There's only the two of us. And the other reason is to stay away from all those traps that we've just mentioned to you. So we got an email one day from Australia, from the Australian Mutuals Foundation. And they knew the work that we did because Paul Dawson, who's one of our co-mentors on ACDE, is now a director of the Australian Mutuals Foundation, and we met other directors whilst we've been working in Asia, Mark Worthington. And we get an email one day that says, let's have a strategic partnership. Now, the Australian Mutuals Foundation is enormous compared with us. It's backed by a number of well-meaning credit unions, and it does what we do or try to do in Australia and the countries of the Pacific Rim. And we were flattered.
I'll explain what a Pell Scholarship is.
Yes, please. And
The Pell Scholarship is the name that we give to the bursaries that we give to people to attend development educator courses. And Claiborne Pell was a US senator who helped with Joe Biden to set up the first American, the CUDE course in America. So we have links, we are partners, we are the Honorary London office of the Asian Confederation of Credit Unions. Our tiny little office, we are partners of ACCU. We are also, through Skype, got to meet Melvin Edwards of the Caribbean DE, and we have sponsored 2 people to do Caribbean DE, and then he said we're going to link up with Canada. So we have now had 4 Pell Scholars, 2 last year, 2 this year. I think we met them last year, who went from Antigua and Trinidad to Canada to do development education.
Canada DE cross-listed with Carib DE 26.
Yes.
Yes.
And we've also sent 2 people to do Africa DE. So
What about the Edward Filen Award?
the Edward Filen Awards were set up to try and improve the competences of credit unions in the UK. To say, we've been to Asia, we see what you can do, this is what we should be doing. So there's 13 or up to 16 categories. Are you giving business loans? Are you working in schools? Are you a community hub? Can you make what marketing do you do? Can you show us the film that you do? So there's more, and there's more. But these can be checked on our website. But so we have, over the years, we've had people who've taken part year after year after year. and they are winners, and we think we might put them into a Hall of Fame, a suggestion from the awards here, because
I
they keep
see.
winning and nobody else gets a chance.
They're professional competitors.
But this year we have moved the awards dinner from London to Manchester, and we're working with a chapter, or we call it the Forum of Greater Manchester, with more credit unions involved. And this year we are very pleased. We have many more people taking part. And when we get back, we've got to sort out who the winners are and who the runners up, and let them know by the end of next week. So I will have jet lag, and I will have to cope with all this work.
Good luck.
I
Marilyn.
talk and she does.
So basically, the work of the International Credit Union Leadership Development and Education Foundation is to process
Yes.
all these entries.
It's to promote, it's to make people think, what can I be doing?
And what I should be doing.
So we have
Would you do
people
it?
who have entered one year, and they look at the criteria in the different categories, and they say, we wait to see the categories, and we have a board meeting, and we say, what can we do now in our credit union to show we are meeting that category? So some credit unions are really, really promoting themselves and developing their capabilities.
CFI Cooperative, andam nga mutabang sa tanan. Natukod kani atong 1970, tumong niya para makatigum ka. Daghan ang katawan nga natabangan sa Cebu CFI Cooperative. Masalbar ang problema sa pagpa-eskwela, tungod ang CFI na ang bahala. Apil pagpabalay o pagpalit og sakyanan, Cebu CFI may katumanan. Salbar kita, salbar kita, salbar kita, salbar kita, sa Cebu CFI Cooperative. Salbar kita, salbar kita, salbar kita, salbar kita, sa Cebu CFI Cooperative.
At this point, I'd like to ask our friends from DEEU their takeaway from this visit. You are supposed to be meeting up with our Honorable Governor Ilario Junjun Davide in 2 hours, and off to Lamak Multipurpose Cooperative in Southwest Cebu in the afternoon. Are you prepared for this, mentally and all?
We're very honoured that this has happened, because Ding Dong has been talking, Ding Dong Comoros has been talking to us for a long time now about linkages, and these linkages, for various practical reasons, are quite hard to set up. As for instance, our credit union year goes from October 1 to September the 30th. And at the time that Ding Dong was proposing these visits, it would be logistically very difficult. The other thing that worried us greatly, is that viewing UK credit unions, when compared with what you do in the Philippines and Asia generally, we didn't want to be an anticlimax. But through the power of electronics and you, we get an email that says the Honourable Governor would like to meet us, and the idea of setting up these partnerships. So we thought, because we're intuitive cooperators, we thought, well, this gives us a lead. This is a governor of a major province in the Philippines who is a cooperator,
Big supporter.
a big supporter, and understands what cooperatives are. We then wrote to the head of Cooperatives UK, Ed Mayo, and we said, the governor wants to do this, what can be done? Now, this man is right at the top of Cooperatives UK, and he gave us the name of Balu Aya. And we got into correspondence with Balu, and we know him through correspondence quite well because it was quite a prolonged correspondence. And then we said to Ed Mayo, or he actually said to us, I suppose if this is going to happen, it's about international cooperative relationships. And we said yes. And he said, we will have to arrange for the governor to communicate directly with Ed Mayo in Manchester, who can open up the whole of the UK cooperative movement to the governor. Now, this is cooperation in action. There was no committee, there was no discussion group, there was no focus
There was no
group.
board.
Wasn't put to any board. Ed Mayo knows us. We don't do boards, we don't do committees, we do cooperative action. And so this is going to happen. And it all came from you telling the Honourable Governor that this was going to happen, that the Honourable Governor had this desire. We then told the head of Cooperatives UK, who knows that I don't take no for an answer, and it is now going to happen.
Can I just say that what we've taken away from our visit to Cebu is overwhelming hospitality and generosity and kindness. Well, it's just to say what I said before, was we've been overwhelmed by your kindness and by the co-ops we've been to see, and what they are doing in their communities is mind-blowing to us. And we're hoping to take some of the presentations we've seen and send them to cooperators in the UK and say, this is what you can do. Get on with it. Do it, please.
It's just so overwhelming, the presence of these two wonderful people from UK. They said that they get inspiration from us. We are also inspired by their presence. They are telling us a lot of positive things that will inspire us to do more and to be motivated to continue to do what we are doing and to keep on improving, because they draw inspiration from what we are doing. And that is the thing that I think really mattered so much to me today, partner. I learned a lot from them. And I think that the learnings that I get from them will multiply into more action for the movement in our country.
And so with that, we bring to a close another edition of Coop TV. Daghang kayong salamat sa inyong pagtanaw, sa inyong pagsaksi. We'll see you next time. God bless.